God. Anyway, so I was saying we cannot be relying on a survivor for consent to do something about the GBV that they went through. If they come to you, they land on you as a healthcare professional, you actually need to report the matter. You need to make sure that you document very well your findings, and well, it's reporting is mandatory. It's a legal obligation. It is really is a requirement. So assuming survivors can always give consent, or you're saying respecting their autonomy, aibo, they are not in a good state of mind. So they cannot give informed consent at that time because they undergone some traumatic experience. They are traumatized. There's also neurological and psychological effect that had occurred, in them. So there's no way they taking informed decisions at the time. So they're still traumatized. So you cannot be relying on them to give you consent. It's your responsibility to act within the law and to prevent further occurrence of this abuse that might have happened. So reporting is key. Reporting is mandatory. Guys, abuse thrives in silence. Abuse thrives in silence. If I'm not talking about what I went through, other people are going to go through it, even with the same perpetrator. But if I speak up, I take the power of continuity of that particular occurrence. But if we all keep quiet and wait for victims and all of that, apparently we don't want them being exposed and all of that. Again, this respects confidentiality because you are reporting to the law enforcement, to the legal entities anyway. So it has to be reported, because otherwise we are also, if we don't do anything, we are perpetuating. We will be perpetuating the abuse itself. That perpetrator will be continuing to do the same thing on the same victim and other subsequent victims, because again, abuse thrives in silence. We cannot keep quiet. So to break the chain, you need to break the silence, and this is really integral, particularly for prevention and justice. So the mandatory reporting, it really enables prevention. It's not a punishment. It is definitely not a punishment, and it shouldn't be viewed as such to say you're waiting for consent, otherwise you're punishing the victim. It's not. This is really efforts to ensure justice and prevention of further devastation or further trauma. Like disease notification, that informs the epidemic response. We need GBV reporting to track the abuse patterns and hotspots and know the demographics and know these victims. We need data, and data depends on us. When we see an abuse of any form, we need to actually be reporting. So that's really key to also continue protecting our communities and other people. It's not a punishment at all. So we ought to think of balancing the collective safety. You don't only think about this individual person right sitting next to you, but the collective safety, like a broader public health concern compared to an individual right. So in emergencies, that the collective right, or I remember even during the COVID, people would be saying, I have a right, I don't want to take a vaccine. My workplace can't force me, or my school. That's good and fine, but you need to stay with your right at home. You cannot impose your right over my right. And when we are in public, what's important is not individual rights. It's not my right or your right. It's the right of the entire public. So we need to also be aware and understand clearly that there's public health priorities and rights that precede any individual right. You have your individual right in your house. You cannot come to my house and tell me about your right. I mean, really, So when we are in public, the public health rights, they are far more important or prioritized compared to individual rights. That is why you need to have that mindset to understand that GBV is not just an individual case in South Africa. It's really a national dilemma. It's a public health concern currently. So the mandatory reporting protects the vulnerable groups, because GBV disproportionately affects the vulnerable groups, being children and women most. right? Those that are unable to protect themselves, even the mentally ill, or those people that are vulnerable, they're the ones that bears the highest rates. So we need to, again, excuse me, this balance of a collective safety versus individual right, whereby individual right comes second, the collective safety comes first. It actually balances, or it represents this ethical public health perspective. So that's what we always need to have in mind beyond the individual cases. So active trauma-informed survivor-centered care, we need to have that in mind as well, the mindset that the trauma-informed care does not mean passive care, So the survivor-centered system should not abandon, the survivor, but proactively ensure that the safety, justice, and fairness and prevention takes place. So both autonomy, as much as most people, they want to bring autonomy, and safety are important, and we need to strike a balance between the two. It can't just be the autonomy of the survivor. Also, the safety has to be factored. So I don't know what you thinking of all of this. I think now my burning issue, which my dear friend with this thesis, stimulated in me, is the collective responsibility we have as the society. We have the collective responsibility to protect each other and protect the vulnerable. Remember, that's what we used to say as well with the vaccine, to say if those that are vulnerable, they cannot survive a vaccine because of the side effects that can make them worse, they are frail, I get to vaccinate even on their behalf, because I will have better disease control with me, and I am prone to not get severely sick or not transmit it the way I would if I wasn't vaccinated. So it's a similar thing. You're thinking for others and you act on their behalf. You make sure that they get justice. You cannot just be looking away in terms of GBV. Everyone has that role to play, and we all need to collectively protect each other. Well, I'm not gonna, I almost made an analog with teenage pregnancy, but I'm not gonna go there because I'll get hyped up and then I'll have to go to the third, fourth, fifth video if I step into teenage pregnancy, because that's one of the matter that's closest to my heart, knowing that the children are, this is GBV that's resulting also in these highest rates of teenage pregnancy in our land. So the agency of acting without waiting for consent is really integral as healthcare workers. So with or without their consent, you have to still oblige to the laws of the land, which means reporting. If we don't report, we wouldn't know where are these things, where are the hotspots, how are the patterns. Like the same person will continue committing the same crimes if we don't have reporting measures in place. So yeah, I guess that's all. And special thanks to this thesis, Yatlulu. It really stimulated these conversations, So I hope everyone gets to think things through, particularly about this balancing of balancing the collective safety together with the autonomy or the individual right of the victim. So before my time runs out, the public health specialists, as well as the clinicians and the scientists, must respond responsibly and compassionately and boldly, more than anything. Because those that are vulnerable, they may be affected, they may not be able to do nothing. But now we have power to do something, and we should, from policies and holding everyone accountable and pushing the policies and the safe environment and the budgets towards protecting these that are vulnerable. Action must be in the best interest of survivors and public health. Public health more than anything. Yeah, that's all.